Here it is, the 2019 Acura RDX. From the comments I've been getting here on YouTube, it looks like a lot of people are really interested in this vehicle. It was first shown at the Detroit Auto Show, and it's really taking chances for the Acura brand, moving it up a notch, delivering more of everything. So let's start on the outside. It's a little bit bigger than the last model. It's longer, it's wider, and it has a sort of a flat stance on the front to give it more of an athletic look. Also, the wheelbase is longer, affording more room on the inside. Now, the biggest change for this RDX is the addition of an A-Spec model. An appearance package gives you 20-inch wheels that are black, more blacked out features to give it a dynamic look. However, that model does not have the adaptive suspension system, and I'll explain that when we start driving it. On the outside, this is the new design language that Acura is going to be using as they go forward with their next vehicles. You get the latest dual headlamps, more dynamic looking grille, taut lines and creases to make the vehicle look like it's moving even when it's standing still. So Acura has been known through the decades as not only just a premium brand, but also a sporty brand. And they're trying to inject a lot of that back into this new RDX. Around the back, from a distance, it could be argued that this looks a little bit like the Toyota RAV4. You decide for yourself. One thing that has not changed with this latest RDX is it's very useful. It's got a large cargo area, power tailgate is there. The rear seats have the quick release that release those back seats to open up a large cargo area. And you notice right away a large panoramic sunroof. That's standard on every single RDX. The inside really is a big jump in terms of craftsmanship and what's available. So let's get going here on the west coast of British Columbia and find out more about the latest RDX. So this Acura RDX couldn't be farther away from the old model. The old model, standard V6 engine and a 6-speed automatic transmission. Throw all of that out, exactly throw out the whole thing because this is a brand new product. So now, like the rest of the industry, you have a turbo 4-cylinder providing the power. Now when you compare it to its direct competitors, it has more power except for one vehicle, and that is the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Has a little bit more power than this product, but check this out. 272 horsepower, but 280 pound-feet of torque. And that torque comes on at just 1600 RPM. So it's an engine that can get you out of the pocket and down the road in a hurry. So that is all good stuff. So it's done, of course, to give you better efficiency, but you also get more power. So that's good. 10-speed automatic transmission. It's not a ZF unit like they have in other Honda and Acura products. This is an in-house 10-speed. And when you match it to this, it does a very good job. I'm finding no stuttering or jumps in between gears. It's actually really quite good. And this RDX will drop 4 gears at once. So I'm driving along now, put my foot all the way down, and it'll go 4 gears to give you a big jump, say for passing. So that's good. I think the transmission is working very well, and I have no fault at all with the engine. That's all great stuff. On top of that, you notice the big dynamic mode button here in the center of the console. That changes things like throttle response, steering feel, transmission holding the gears or being more relaxed. So that's what's going on with the dial in the center of the dash. Now on only one trim, the Elite that I'm driving here, it also affects the adjustable dampers. And this is the only model that gets it, which I think is a little bit disappointing. And it does work. There is a marked difference between Comfort Sport and Sport Plus. And driving through the mountains, there have been some really bumpy sections, so I've actually had to turn it down, and it really makes a difference. Now, they have the A-Spec model, the one with the 20-inch wheels, the blacked out look, looks more aggressive and sportier. I think that this system should be in that model, but it is something that they can add. And the other thing that has returned to this product is super handling all-wheel drive. Now Acura has had it in this product initially. They got rid of it with the last generation, and now it's back. And it's a torque vectoring system. So here's the best way to describe it. This RDX can shift 70% of the torque to the rear wheels. And with that available 70% torque, it can shift 100% of that available torque to the outside wheel. So when you're going through a corner, it can help pivot you through and push you through the corner, but you need to be applying throttle in order for it to do that. When you do that, there's also a system that does a little bit of braking on the inside front wheel. When you combine those two things together, it really feels like there's an anchor on the inside of the car and it's pulling you through the corner. It really is quite remarkable. But that really only comes together when you apply throttle. Initially in the corners, it does feel a little bit top heavy and it pushes a little bit until that system hooks up and gives you that push through the corners. So does the super handling all-wheel drive work? Yes, it does work, but you have to learn how to use it. And once you've kind of mastered it, it's a very rewarding system. So that's all the stuff to do with the engine, transmission, and all-wheel drive system. Now we get into the cabin. And you notice right away a really fashion-forward center console that's floating. Underneath, that is a very good idea because for women, that's a place to put their bag out of the way and it's not taking up space on the floor or on the passenger seat. Also down there is where you get your power outlets and your USB plugs. There's also more USB plugs here in the center of the armrest. Now what I find interesting is they've taken up so much space with the drive mode. So basically it's a big knob that does one thing. It changes the settings for the car, but it's so prominent. And then you get the electronic transmission shifter. It's just so much space in the dash has been taken up by that. Below that is where you'll notice the Trackpad. Acura calls it the Acura True Touchpad. You basically can scroll around on the screen to different corners, and the screen is actually split into two parts. About 3/4 is on the left and about 1/4 on the right to give you different information depending on what you want. I actually like that so you can have it split. The actual feel of the trackpad does take some time to master, but I think that would come easily after a short period of time. There is no digital dashboard like you're seeing with a lot of the German brands. You get a 7-inch TFT screen there with analog gauges on either side. It really looks good though. I'm not worried about that at all. But what I have to tell you is the fit and finish and the switches and the way it all comes together is first rate. This is a high quality cabin. It really does look good. I should point out that the first two trims of this RDX get leatherette seats. When you go to the A-Spec, you get Alcantara or faux suede, and it's only the top two trims like this Elite that I'm driving in now that give you leather. So that's Acura's way, if you want leather seats, of extracting more money out of you and getting you up to a different trim level. Now, speaking of seats, the back seat is great. They have stayed true to the design of giving you an almost flat floor, which is wonderful for piling kids in and out of the back seat. The cargo area is very roomy. So they really have upped their game. The dash is futuristic. Could I live without this big transmission thing in the middle? Yes, but that's just a personal taste thing. But I think it's very well done. Now, speaking of the head unit, the actual head unit and the system that drives it is developed by Google with Android. However, Android Auto, funnily enough, is not available in the head unit just yet. Apple CarPlay is. Now, they are working, of course, with Google, because they've helped develop this, to have the Android Auto set up in the head unit, and it will be reverse compatible. So even if you buy one of these, you can add it in after the fact when it's available. Now, one interesting thing about the drive again, they have the artificial noise that they put through the speakers. Depending on what setting you're in, it sounds slightly different. But what I find interesting is that the sound that they use for sport, it kind of sounds like a Subaru. It has this kind of thrumping noise to it. Let me hit it for you. It has a Subaru kind of sound. Anyway, it's not the real engine you're hearing. It's whatever Acura wants you to hear inside the cabin through the speakers. So when you're driving along and you come to a corner, you brake, you weight up the front wheels, and then you need to hit the throttle in order to get that super handling all-wheel drive to kick in. So for some drivers, like I'm used to driving, doing trail braking, which is braking and slowly lifting off the brake and then transitioning onto the throttle, you have to be more aggressive with it to get it to work. So just when you think that the vehicle's understeering, you come off the brake and you hit the gas and then boom, it pushes you through the corner. It's an interesting sensation, but I think once you learn how to use it, it can be a lot of fun. I can't tell you how many people I put into the previous version of the RDX. Lots of friends and family because it did a lot of things really well. It had a tried and proven V6 engine and a 6-speed automatic transmission. This is miles away from that technology. But the other thing, I always reference the RDX as the best value in the premium utility space. And now Acura has pumped the price up, and quite a lot. The old model used to start around 41 and topped out around 46. This new vehicle starts at around $45,000 and goes up to $55,000 for the elite one that I'm driving here today. The one that Acura thinks is going to get the most attention and sell the best will be the new A-Spec, and that starts at $50,000. So you can see the price has gone up. Now the flip side of that is you get a lot more technology. You now get a 272 horsepower engine. You get a 10-speed automatic transmission. Gone is the lightweight all-wheel drive system, replaced by super handling all-wheel drive that does work. You can also get the adaptive suspension, and I wish this top model has it, but it was also available in the A-Spec. The A-Spec with the 20-inch wheels, the blacked out look, is the sporty looking one. I wish it had a little bit more to back it up by taking those adaptive dampers and putting it in that model. But that's something that Acura could easily change in the next year or so. It certainly looks dynamic. It's a nice vehicle to drive, and if you're in the market for a compact premium utility, this one should be tried. With almost 275 horsepower, it certainly is a lot of fun to drive.